Welcome to the deep dive. Looks like we're diving into the world of philanthropy and fundraising.
Yeah, especially for social change.
Exactly. And not just like the nuts and bolts of how to raise money, but
More like the why.
yeah.
Like what makes people
What's
give.
the psychology of it?
The ethics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got excerpts from Kim Klein's book, Fundraising for Social Change, and
A couple other titles on giving plans and
strategies for nonprofits.
yeah, it's a really fascinating mix.
It is.
It should give us a lot to think about.
Okay, so one of the first things that really jumped out at me from Klein's book was she busts this myth about where most donations actually come from.
Oh, yeah.
Most people think it's,
Native Foundation.
yeah, like the big,
Corporations.
huge checks,
Yeah,
right?
Right.
But
But she says no.
individuals are
Individuals are the real,
powerhouse.
yeah, the driving force of
Yeah.
philanthropy.
But she doesn't just mean like a few billionaires either.
No, not at all.
It's really everyday folks.
Everyday giving,
Yeah, the collective power of,
the collective giving
yeah,
of a lot of people who care.
which is kind of encouraging, right?
It is very encouraging.
It's
These are small organizations.
Small organizations, yeah.
You don't have to.
You don't have to be intimidated by,
The big guys.
yeah, the big foundations, because really that's not where most of the money comes from.
Right.
It's from individual.
Okay, so here's another fascinating thing from Klein.
Okay.
More people donate than vote.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think that says about why people give?
I think it says that people want to,
Put their money where their mouth is.
yeah, put their money where their heart is.
Their heart is, yeah.
Yeah, and
But-
maybe they're a little disillusioned with the political process.
Right.
But they still want to make a difference.
Okay, so while figuring out who gives is kind of tricky because
People's income and
assets
yeah, all that.
fluctuate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to pin down.
Yeah. Klein does offer some insights into why people give.
Okay, I'm curious.
So what are some of the things she talks about?
Well, in the U.S., religious beliefs
Are a big factor.
are a big factor
Yeah.
for a lot of people.
Yeah, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
A lot of religions emphasize helping others.
Absolutely. Supporting your community, right? It's a natural fit.
So what else?
Well, a lot of it boils down to giving as an exchange.
Okay.
You know, supporting work that you
Believe in.
believe in that reflects your values.
Yeah, so it's not just about being
Altruistic.
altruistic, right?
Right.
It's about actually making a difference.
Yeah, it's
And
about
the things you care about.
participating in the change that you want to see.
Right. It's like being a stakeholder in positive change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's an investment.
And here's a key point that Klein makes.
Okay.
People give when they are asked.
That's a good point.
It seems obvious, but
Yeah, you'd think.
we kind of forget that, right?
Right. We assume if people are passionate, they'll just,
They'll find us.
yeah.
But
But sometimes they need that invitation.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
little nudge to
Yeah.
take action.
Okay, so how do we get over feeling weird about asking for money?
Well, Klein says we have to overcome
That discomfort,
that discomfort and the fear of rejection.
which everybody has.
Everybody has, it's natural.
Yeah.
But she gives some good insights into donor psychology
Okay, tell me more about that.
to help us
Yeah.
navigate those feelings.
So what are some of the things that hold people back from giving?
Well, a lot of people, especially if they're on a tight budget, they worry about the impact on their own finances.
Makes sense.
And then even if someone can afford to give,
Yeah.
they might be afraid of being seen as an easy target
Oh, yeah.
for future solicitations.
Yeah, like once they give,
Once they're on the list.
they're going to be hounded.
Right.
Yeah.
So Klein really emphasizes respecting boundaries,
Yeah.
understanding that every donor has the right to say no.
So how do we balance making a compelling ask with respecting that right to say no?
It's a delicate balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's about building genuine relationships
Okay.
and tailoring your approach to each individual.
So not just having like a,
A one-size-fits-all generic pitch.
right.
But really taking the time to connect with people
And understand,
on a personal level.
yeah, what they care about.
What motivates them.
Yeah.
What their values are.
I think transparency is huge too.
Oh, absolutely.
If donors feel
Like they're being tricked or
pressured,
manipulated.
they're never going to give again.
Exactly.
They want to know,
They want to know that their money's being used well
yeah, that it's actually making a difference.
and that the organization is accountable.
Right.
You know, they're transparent about their practices.
It's about showing the impact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People want to see results.
So that brings us to the actual strategies for fundraising.
Right. The nitty-gritty.
Yeah, Klein's book covers a whole bunch.
It's like personal solicitation,
Special events,
direct mail,
own-a-thons.
internet fundraising.
Even some less traditional approaches?
like voluntary fees for service, canvassing.
Wow. So much to cover.
Yeah, let's dive in.
Let's start with personal solicitation.
Oh,
That can be
yeah.
a little intimidating, right?
It can sound scary, but it doesn't have to be.
Really?
Klein emphasizes that it's more about relationship building
Okay.
than hard selling.
So you're not like a used car salesman?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's about identifying potential donors, cultivating those connections,
Mm-hmm.
and then making a tailored ask that resonates with their interests.
So it's about finding the people who are most likely to be passionate about your cause.
Exactly.
And then kind of nurturing that relationship.
Over time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do you make that less daunting?
Well, Klein gives some practical tips,
Okay.
like creating a prospect list so you know who to reach out to, crafting a really compelling ask letter,
Okay.
and then practicing your phone pitch.
I hate making phone calls.
I know a lot of people do.
So scary.
But Klein gives some sample scripts
Okay.
and emphasizes the importance of handling objections gracefully.
So like what if somebody says no?
Exactly. And a no today doesn't necessarily mean a no forever.
Okay, so it's really about building that relationship over time.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on to special events.
Okay.
It seems like everybody does special events.
Right, they're very popular.
Yeah, but are they really effective?
Well, Klein acknowledges that they're often more about building community and visibility
Okay.
than making a ton of money.
Right, it's like creating a shared experience for people who care about your cause.
Exactly, and bringing people together.
Yeah, like I've been to some really cool art auctions.
Oh, yeah.
And concerts
Those are great.
that were also fundraisers.
Yeah.
Even theme parties.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Klein encourages organizations to think outside the box.
Okay.
You know, not just the typical gala,
Or silent auction.
but something that really aligns with your mission.
Exactly.
Something
Yeah.
unique.
Okay, but whatever you do,
Right.
careful planning is crucial.
Absolutely.
You've got to set a realistic budget.
Yes.
You need a detailed timeline
Mm.
and like go or no go date.
Go or no-go date.
So you're not just like,
Throwing money away.
yeah, hemorrhaging money.
Right.
Yeah.
Exact.
Klein even suggests.
Some ways to maximize fundraising at events,
Like what?
like incorporating ad books,
Okay.
raffles, things like that.
So it's about having multiple opportunities for people to give.
Exactly. And making sure the event itself is enjoyable.
Yeah, happy guests are more likely to give.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about direct mail. Some might say that's a little old-fashioned.
Yeah, in the digital age.
Yeah.
But Klein thinks it can still be valuable,
Really?
especially for smaller organizations
Okay.
with limited resources.
But how do you make it stand out?
It's all about targeting.
Okay.
Not sending a generic letter to everyone,
Right.
but really thinking about your audience
And making
and personalizing it
personal.
as much as possible.
But how do you personalize a mass mailing?
Well, you could segment your list
Okay.
based on donation history, interests,
Right.
demographics.
So you're sending different messages to different people.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it feels relevant to them.
Okay.
And don't forget storytelling.
Oh, yeah.
Stories are powerful.
People connect with stories.
They do.
Yeah.
And they help people understand the impact of their giving.
And once you get that donation, don't forget about renewals.
Oh, absolutely.
Renewals and upgrades.
Renewals and upgrades.
Yeah.
So important.
Keep those donors coming back.
It's much more cost effective to keep a donor
Right.
than to find a new one.
So what are some strategies for that?
Well, Klein talks about recurring giving options,
Okay.
acknowledging major donors in meaningful ways,
Mm-hmm.
and creating a sense of community.
Yeah, make them feel like they're part of something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about making donors feel valued.
Yeah, like their contribution matters.
Absolutely.
Not just their money,
Right.
but their involvement.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's talk about phone-a-thons.
Right.
I am so skeptical of phone-a-thons.
I know, a lot of people are.
I screen all my calls. If
Yeah.
I don't recognize the number,
Right, too?
I'm not answering.
Yeah.
So how can that possibly be effective?
Well, Klein says the key is warm lists,
Okay.
calling people who already have some connection to your organization.
So they're not just random strangers.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then you need to equip your volunteers with good scripts
Mm-hmm.
and train them to handle objections.
Right.
Because you're going to get objections.
Yeah, people are going to be annoyed when you're calling them.
But the goal is to create a positive experience,
Okay.
even if they don't donate right then and there.
So it's about relationship building, even over the phone.
Exactly. And don't forget follow-up,
Oh, yeah.
like a thank you note or an email to everyone you called,
Oh, even if they said no.
even if they said no.
Just to say thanks for your time.
Exactly. It's about building goodwill.
Okay, so it's not just about getting the money right now.
Right.
It's about
It's a long-term
building that relationship.
investment.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, now we have to talk about internet fundraising.
The big one.
Right.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Everybody's online.
How can organizations really leverage that?
Well, Klein acknowledges that the internet has revolutionized philanthropy.
Yeah, it's like a global platform.
It is.
Yeah.
You can reach anyone, anywhere.
But she also warns against just having a fancy website
Right.
with no strategy.
It's not enough to just have a donate button.
Yeah, you got to get people to your site.
Exactly.
You got to keep them there.
And make the giving experience easy,
Yeah, seamless.
seamless, intuitive.
And you got to use email strategically.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, not just bombarding people with...
Right, not spamming.
Yeah.
But thoughtful, targeted messages.
Right.
That provide value.
And ethical considerations are huge.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
You got to be careful about which online giving portals you use.
Right.
You want to make sure they align with your values.
As secure.
Secure, protect donor privacy.
Yeah, because people are really wary about giving online.
Absolutely.
They don't trust the platform.
If they don't feel safe,
Yeah.
they're not going to give.
So transparency is crucial.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got to be upfront about your practices.
Exactly. And be responsive to any concerns.
So again, it all comes back to trust.
Trust is the foundation
Yeah.
of any good fundraising program.
Okay, this is all great information,
Yeah.
but I want to hear about those less traditional fundraising approaches.
Oh, the creative stuff.
Yeah.
Klein talks about incorporating voluntary fees for service as a way to engage clients
Mm-hmm.
and diversify your funding.
So people who are benefiting from your services
Exactly.
can also contribute,
Right. It empowers them to give back.
even if they can't afford a big donation.
Exactly.
So it's like a reciprocal relationship.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
What about canvassing?
Canvassing can be tough,
Especially...
especially these days.
Yeah, people work from home.
They do.
They don't want to answer their door.
Yeah.
So is it even worth it anymore?
Klein thinks it can be, but you got to be strategic.
Yeah.
You need a good plan, targeted outreach,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to train your canvassers well.
Right. They're representing your organization.
Exactly. They need to be prepared to answer questions
And engage with people.
in a respectful way.
Yeah.
Even if someone doesn't donate on the spot,
Right.
a positive interaction can plant a seed.
Yeah. Build awareness.
Exactly.
Okay, so these less traditional approaches,
Right.
they can kind of complement
Yeah, they're not a
the
replacement.
more traditional methods.
Exactly.
Okay, so regardless of which strategies you use, right.
Klein says gratitude is paramount.
Oh, absolutely.
You got to thank your donor.
Yes, and make them feel valued
Why is that so important?
because it builds relationships
Okay.
and encourages repeat giving.
And a simple thank you note.
Can go a long way.
Yeah.
It shows that you appreciate their support.
It's like acknowledging that their gift matters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just a transaction.
And be prompt.
Yes, timely thank yous are so important.
Shows you're organized.
Yes.
Yeah.
And don't forget personalization.
Oh, yeah.
A handwritten note or a personal email,
Mm-hmm.
it can make someone feel really special.
Like you really appreciate them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It makes them feel like part of a community,
Yeah.
not just a source of income
And think about strategies for upgrading their giving.
over time.
Yeah. So maybe they start with a small donation,
Right.
but then they
They increase it.
become a major donor.
Or maybe they sign up for recurring giving
Oh,
or even consider legacy giving. Legacy giving, that's like the ultimate commitment.
it is. It's a way for people to create a lasting impact
Wow.
on a cause they care about.
So it's about building those deep, enduring relationships
Whoops,
with
Tanny.
people who are truly passionate about your mission.
And want to leave a legacy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It is.
So donor stewardship is an ongoing process.
It is. It's not a one-time thing.
You got to stay in touch.
Keep them informed.
Find ways to involve them.
Exactly.
So relationship building is key.
It's the heart of fundraising.
Yeah.
It really is.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground
We have.
in this first part of our deep dive.
Yeah. We've talked about donor motivations.
Different strategies.
Yeah. And it's clear that fundraising is a complex.
It's a fascinating field.
It is.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break here
Okay.
and come back for part 2,
Sounds good.
where we'll delve into some of the more,
Challenging aspects.
nuanced aspects of fundraising.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We're continuing our exploration of fundraising, and I'm really interested in those special circumstances that might need kind of a different approach.
Right. Because not every organization fits neatly into a textbook model.
Exactly. So Kim Klein talks about some of those
he does.
unique situations in her book.
Yeah, like fundraising in rural communities.
Okay, yeah, that seems like it would be tough.
It's all about relationships,
Even more so.
even more so.
You're in a small community.
Yeah, everybody knows everybody.
Exactly. Word of mouth is everything.
So how do you approach that?
Well, Klein says you got to tap into those existing social networks.
Okay.
Build relationships based on shared values.
So it's not just about coming in as an outsider.
No, you got to be a part of the community.
You're invested.
Yeah, you're a partner.
Yeah, okay.
And show that you understand their needs.
Now, what about coalition fundraising?
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other challenge.
It's complicated.
It is, because you're representing both local and national needs. Right, you got to find that balance.
Exactly.
So how do you do that?
Well, Klein says communication is key.
Okay.
Lots of communication, compromise.
Yeah, everybody's got to be on the same page.
Exactly. And you need clear roles and responsibilities from the start.
Right, so there's no confusion.
No confusion, no conflict.
Transparency is so important.
It is. It builds trust.
And Klein also talks about dues structures.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
For coalitions.
You got to be fair.
Right, everybody's got to feel like
They're contributing
they're getting their fair share.
and benefiting.
Yeah, okay. Now let's talk about all volunteer organizations.
Oh, yeah, I have so much respect for volunteers.
Me too, but fundraising with no paid staff.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, so how do you do it?
Klein says you got to set clear expectations for volunteers.
Okay.
Recognize their contributions.
Make them feel appreciated.
Yes.
Because they're giving their time.
They are. It's a valuable resource.
And be realistic about what you can accomplish.
Right. You might have to focus on smaller events.
War campaigns.
Exactly. Things you can manage without a big staff.
Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
But even with all volunteers,
You still need a leader.
somebody in charge of fundraising.
Absolutely, to keep things organized.
Okay, now what if you're just starting out?
Oh, that's tough.
You don't have those established relationships.
No track record.
So where do you even begin?
Klein says leverage your personal network.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Those initial connections can be so valuable.
Right, it's like your starting point.
And frame the ask effectively.
So it's not just about asking for money.
It's about inviting people to join you
Yeah, invest in your vision,
and be professional.
even if you're just starting out.
Absolutely. Have a clear mission
Or
statement,
need a website.
a system for tracking donations.
Yeah, build that credibility.
Exactly.
Okay, so beyond those specific circumstances,
Right.
are there any universal keys to success?
Klein says planning is crucial,
No matter what.
no matter what.
You got to have a plan.
A solid plan.
Yeah, what should that include?
Well, your goals,
Okay.
your target audience, your strategies, your timeline.
Like a roadmap.
Exactly.
Okay.
And she provides a really helpful framework for developing that plan,
Okay.
step by step.
So it's not just winging it.
No winging it.
You got to be
Strategic
thoughtful
and organized.
and flexible,
Oh, absolutely. Things change.
right?
You got to be able to adapt.
Okay, so once you have the plan,
Then what?
what do?
You got to execute it.
Okay, so how do you manage that?
Klein says have a dedicated fundraising office.
Even if it's just a corner of a room?
Even a corner, yeah, a designated space.
Okay.
Keeps things organized.
Yeah, and speaking of organization,
Record keeping.
so important.
Absolutely essential.
Not just for efficiency.
It's about accountability.
transparency.
Donors need to know their information is safe
And being used properly.
and that their money is being used effectively.
Yeah, okay, so how do you do that?
Klein suggests setting up a database,
Okay.
tracking donations,
Mm-hmm.
generating reports.
So you can see what's working
Exactly. Analyze your effort.
and make good decisions.
Data-driven decisions.
Yeah, data is power.
It
Yeah.
is. It tells you what's working, what's not.
And Klein also talks about the importance of time management.
Oh, yeah. Fundraising can be really demanding.
Yeah, you can get burnt out.
Easily.
So you got to take care of yourself.
Absolutely. Set boundaries.
Delegate,
Hey.
carry charge.
Yeah. Don't sacrifice your well-being.
Your health is important.
Yeah.
And finally, Klein emphasizes the relationship with the executive director and the board.
Right. Fundraising isn't a solo mission.
It takes a team.
So everybody's got to be on the same page.
Absolutely. About goals.
Ethical consideration.
Owner stewardship.
Yeah.
It's a collaborative effort.
And speaking of ethical consideration,
Yes, the tricky stuff.
we've talked about a lot of practical stuff.
But ethics are equally important.
Yeah, we'll dive into those in part 3.
Looking forward to it. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've covered so much ground already, from donor motivations to strategic planning. But now I'm ready to tackle those ethical dilemmas that inevitably pop up in fundraising.
Yeah, they can be tough.
Right. Because we've talked about building those relationships and respecting donors, but
But
you
sometimes,
need money.
right.
So how do you balance those things?
Well, Kim Klein really brings up some interesting points here.
Yeah.
She reminds us that nonprofits are held to a higher standard.
Then like a for-profit business.
Exactly. It's not enough to just bring in the cash.
Right.
We have to do it in a way that aligns with our mission.
And our values.
Absolutely. Because if people lose trust in us,
Yeah.
they're not going to support us.
No matter how good our cause is.
Exactly. Our reputation is everything.
So Klein uses this term dirty money
Okay.
to describe donations that maybe come with strings attached
Right.
or from sources that might conflict with your mission.
I see.
So like, what if a big donor wants to control how their money is spent?
Right? Even if it goes against your strategic plan.
Yeah, or what if a corporation wants to give you a grant?
But their business practices are, kind of shady.
Yeah, harmful to the environment or something.
Exactly.
So those are tough calls.
They are. It can be so tempting to compromise.
Especially if you're struggling financially.
Right. You need that money.
So what do you do?
Klein doesn't give easy answers, but she does offer some helpful guidance.
Okay, so what are some of the questions we should be asking ourselves?
Well, first, consider the source of the money.
Where'd it come from?
Yeah. Is it ethically sourced?
Okay.
And then think about how much influence the donor expects.
Like, do they want to be on the board?
Yeah. Do they want to control your messaging?
Okay.
And finally, weigh the potential consequences.
Of taking the money.
Yeah. Will it damage your reputation?
Alienate other donors.
Exactly.
So it's not just about the money itself,
Right. It's about the big picture.
the potential fallout.
Exactly.
Okay, so sometimes you have to say no,
You do a big check.
even if you really need it.
If it compromises your values,
Yeah, that's tough.
it is. But it's the right thing to do.
In the long run.
In the long run, it protects your integrity.
And it builds trust.
Exactly, with your donors, with the public.
You know, I think it's helpful to have those ethical guidelines in place
Oh, absolutely.
before you even get into those situations.
So you're not making decisions under pressure.
Right, or reacting emotionally.
Yeah. Have that conversation with your board.
With your staff.
your key donors.
Yeah, everybody needs to be on the same page.
Exactly. About what you stand for.
Okay, but what if you do decide to accept a controversial donation?
Be transparent.
Yeah, don't hide it.
Explain your decision-making process.
To your stakeholders.
To everyone, be upfront about it.
Yeah, because people are going to find out.
They will, and it's better to be proactive.
Okay, so own your choices.
And be accountable.
And even with the best intentions, you're going to make mistakes.
We all do. We're human.
But learn from them.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
adapt your practices.
Keep striving to do what's right.
That's the most important thing.
This deep dive has been so insightful.
It has. We've covered a lot.
Yeah, we've explored donor motivations,
Fundraising strategies.
ethical considerations.
And it's clear that you're really interested in the impact of philanthropy,
Yeah, not just the mechanics of it.
but the potential for positive change.
So as we wrap up, what's the one thing you hope our listener takes away?
I think it's this. Fundraising is about more than just money. It's
Yeah.
about connecting with people,
Building relationships.
inspiring them to invest in a shared vision.
And ultimately making the world a better place.
Exactly.
And you don't have to do it all alone.
Right. Start small,
Build those connections.
and don't be afraid to ask.
You might be surprised by the generosity you find.
The world needs your vision, your passion.
Go make a difference.
You got this.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.